that one of the best fights from Dragon Ball Super would involve Beerus, the God of Destruction, getting into a big foam rubber costume of Monaka, the Nipple Master Alien. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the preview for this week's episode left a lot of people wondering, is that really Monaka fighting against Goku? And in this week's episode, we finally get our answer. You see, Beerus is going to go to extreme lengths to make Goku realize that he is not the strongest person in the universe. There's always a bigger fish in the sea. This is actually something that Master Roshi has always taught Goku since the very beginning of the series, but now that Goku is on the level of gods, it looks like Beerus is going to have to go to some extremes, and in this week's episode, he has to dress up as Monaka in this costume which was concocted by Mr. Satan himself, and it leads to a lot of funny scenes, but most importantly, it leads to one kick-ass brawl. Before we get to the battle of Goku and Beerus/Monaka, let's go ahead and talk about some of the big details from this episode. First and foremost, it looks like they really are going to follow through with this big tournament between all 12 universes, and that's awesome, because according to Whis, the other gods of destruction are actually going to be involved in this as well, and I cannot wait to see these guys. According to Whis, they might not be as nice as, say, Beerus and Champa. They might actually be a little more on the evil side of things. And really, I can't wait to see the designs of these characters. I'm really hoping that they're going to be different than Beerus and Champa. There's probably going to be pairs just like Beerus and Champa, but I can't wait to see what they're going to be capable of, and hopefully getting to see them in battle, maybe all of the gods going at each other, would be pretty damn awesome. But this episode right here is really about Beerus trying to cover his ass, because he doesn't want to get caught lying, because if Zeno, the Omni King, actually finds out about this, he's going to get in a lot of trouble. And he still wants to keep Goku motivated, and he doesn't want him to figure out that Monaka is actually kind of a weakling. But he's still a pretty honest working man. In fact, he's a delivery man. He goes throughout space delivering food and sweets for tons of people. It's actually Jacko the Galactic Patrolman who actually orders all of these sweets for another one of Bulma's ridiculous over-the-top parties, and who shows up but Monaka in his delivery outfit. And of course, Bulma's a little miffed by this because she wanted Beerus to invite him, but then again, if he did show up, Goku would really want to fight against Monaka. And this episode is funny because of all of the different ways they actually try to stop Goku from fighting against Monaka. I especially love the fact that we got some really great character moments from some of the classic Dragon Ball side characters. Chaozu tried his best to stop Goku from dragging Monaka away, but it didn't work. We also had this really great scene towards the end of the episode where Goku notices that Monaka is still around, but he can't find Beerus, and then he looks down, and you see Beerus there, but it's obviously Puar, the transforming cat. Beerus with the beady eyes, it's kind of like if Ditto transformed into Beerus. And embarrassing as it is for Beerus to get into this costume, he has no choice, and the costume itself is just so crazy looking. It's obviously way bigger than Monaka, the mouth and the eyes don't even move, and Goku is just completely blind to all of this. He just accepts the fact that Monaka has actually transformed into some larger state, and even after parts of the costume are ripped off and you can clearly see parts of Beerus, Goku even in saying that he can feel his ki, he still doesn't even realize that this is actually Beerus in a costume. Hell, his ear gets ripped off and he doesn't even feel bad about it whatsoever. Goku's just so blissfully nonchalant and ignorant throughout this episode that it's just funny. You have to laugh at all of it, especially at the end when Yamcha completely almost ruins everything by pointing out the fact that there are two different Monakas, but Goku stupidly believes that he actually has the ability to split his body up just like Majin Buu. It's a really funny scene, and it's also great that Yamcha just completely continues to be the most amazing failure from the entire series. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super? There's always a bigger fish in the ocean, and you gotta look out for those ones, otherwise you're going to lose your motivation. That's pretty much the main message from this episode, and we also got a really cool action scene. Despite the fact that Beerus was in a really goofy-looking costume, his fight with Goku was really hard opinion, extremely classic. A very classic episode of Dragon Ball, mostly because of the fact that for some odd reason, Goku and Vegeta are wearing their old outfits. They're no longer wearing the brand new ones that they used when they were training with Beerus and with Whis. And I'm not sure why they're going with this decision. Maybe this is just going to be the clothes that they decide to wear on Earth. Maybe they're only going to wear those when they decide to be around Beerus and Whis or even directly train with them. It's mostly just an aesthetic thing, although I really did like the new costumes because it made them all the bit more distinctive, especially considering this is supposed to be the next part of Dragon Ball. Still, this week's episode was just really funny. Just getting to see all of the different characters try to figure out how to stop Goku from figuring out this Monaka is actually a Beerus in disguise. Hell, in the middle of the battle as the suit is getting destroyed, both Vegeta and Piccolo actually have to get in front of the fake Monaka and trick Goku into thinking that they're actually being controlled by him while they try to fix his costume. It's funny because Piccolo is trying to act, but he's just completely terrible at it. A point that Vegeta even brings up himself, but you know what? Vegeta's not that great of an actor either, and they both end up getting knocked aside as the battle continues. And like I said, the funniest part of this episode is that Goku doesn't notice this, like Beerus' arm, or Beerus' tail, or his key, or the fact that his freaking ear got ripped off, or just the fact that his mouth never moves, or he never blinks. It's just so amazingly hilarious how Goku doesn't care about that, and he's just so obsessed with fighting, to the point that he starts dragging Monaka and not even, like, thinking about what his feelings are on the fact that if he wants to fight at all. It's just really funny, and that's what I loved about this episode. It was just pleasant and very blissful, and it featured a lot of great classic characters doing classic funny things. The final thing you see in the episode is just a reactionary shot from Puar and frickin' Oolong, and it's just great. It totally reminds me of watching the old Dragon Ball days, and these are the type of episodes you need after a really big arc. It allows you to sort of breathe a little bit before we go into the next big part of the series, which might actually be this big tournament between all of the universes. They might actually get right to it, and we might do a little bit of training, but before we actually get there, it looks like we're going to have a few more obstacles that we're going to have to tackle. In next week's episode, we get the return of the fan-favorite Pilaf gang. That's right, Pilaf, Mai, and Shu are returning. They're bringing themselves a brand new mech into the battle, and it also looks like Baby Pan is going to get involved and even activate her Super Saiyan abilities, which already shows that it looks like this version of Pan is going to be significantly stronger than the one that we saw in GT. Speaking of GT, one of the biggest theories that I've seen from a lot of people on the internet is that Universe 6 Earth is actually going to be the GT universe, which I think would be amazing, because it might actually give some credence to the whole, like, GT thing. You know, you can just sort of take it or leave it or anything, and I'm not really a big fan of GT, but if that is an alternate universe, frankly, I'm kind of okay with it, if only see the fact that we could see, like, maybe Super Saiyan 4 Goku fighting against, you know, Super Saiyan God Goku. Although, I am still sort of hoping that the characters from that planet are going to be completely new and unique. That is a really fun theory that I think people are playing around with, and if anything, I'm just hyped to see all the different gods of destruction and all of the warriors from the other universes. Although I have to admit, I would like another arc before we get to that. Maybe get something more of like a threat. Maybe like a brand new villain could show up to sort of spice things up. There's also been rumors that supposedly Future Trunks is going to be returning to the story, but we're just going to have to wait and see. What I will say is this week's episode was a lot of fun, featuring some really classic and funny moments from a lot of awesome Dragon Ball characters, and a really cool action scene between Goku and Beerus in a Monaka costume. So this is definitely an episode that Dragon Ball fans should check out, especially those who've been following all of Dragon Ball Super. Just a lot of really funny moments and lots of great characters. So I'm going to give this episode right here a 4 out of 5, a super solid episode of Dragon Ball Super that you should definitely check out. But if any of you guys did watch this week's episode, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below? Did you have a favorite scene from this week's episode? Maybe a favorite character who showed up? What did you think about Yamcha almost screwing up everything at the end of the day? Should they give Yamcha a chance in this series to actually get stronger? What next arc do you want to see in the series? And what do you hope to see from the big tournament between all 12 universes? Please tell me in the comments section below. You guys are kick-ass! Thank you for watching this review. If you would like to help support the channel, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out all the cool links we got in the description box below. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!